Today's guest is Dawn Andrews, business strategist, leadership consultant, founder and CEO of Free Range Thinking, and host of the She's That Founder podcast. Dawn helps founders move out of the day-to-day bottleneck and into the CEO seat with stronger delegation, smarter leadership, and a more human-centered approach to AI. Her work centers on helping ambitious women lead with more clarity, capacity, and confidence. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have you here.
I am too, Chrissy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And before we hopped on, you were just telling me about a fun project you were working on. And I was like, that's really cool that you get to work with women who are doing really amazing things. I mean, they're kicking butt.
I love kick butt women.
That's awesome. And tell me then why you named your company Free Range Thinking. Where did that come from?
It came to me in a dream, woke up with it.
Are you serious?
100%. Yeah. I was working for an entertainment company and I was on the chopping block for a round of layoffs, which a lot of people these days can relate to. Things are changing a lot in our world with AI, especially. And so I was just toying around with, okay, well, what is this thing that I'm starting? What do I want to do? And what would it be called? And because I am both a right brain creative and a left brain analytical person, I think that once that title, that name popped into my head, it just felt like it encompassed how I approach the world, how I think about things, and also the kinds of folks that I wanted to be able to meet and work with, like the kind of clientele that I wanted to attract. So I like people who are independent thinkers, who like to find creative solutions that might not necessarily be the straightforward path. I don't really like the phrase outside, thinking out of the box, because I don't even like at this point, out of the box is it's been used so much in the box. Yeah. Yeah. And so that, a company was born.
That's awesome. That's funny because the name of my company literally just popped in my head and I was like, we're rolling with that. And that's how I roll, like decision and go. And,
intuition is a powerful thing, and if you have that along with being willing to just make a choice and then adapt as you go, I think you can just cover so much more ground more quickly. And if you think about why you're in business, which is usually to help people and make a difference for somebody, why wouldn't you want to get to that as quickly as possible?
Yeah. You're not helping people by not getting it going. I just had this conversation this week with someone. I said, we just need to make it exist first.
Yeah.
Then we can iterate.
Yes.
And I was like, just make it exist first. We'll tweak it along the way. And that I tell something similar too, like, start with best practices, and then the data will tell you what to do. The customers will tell you what to do. You will get feedback as long as you're paying attention, and you'll know what to do. So that's awesome that you named it that because of a dream. That's cool. Now, has your company evolved over the years, or has it?
Oh, honey. That's right. That it has evolved so much. I mean, the version. So I've been in business for 24 years, and
when did you start with year 5?
Thank you. I'm appreciating that. Year 1 was me. It was pre. I don't want to say it was pre-email. That isn't entirely true. But like my first marketing move was sending out 300 physically written letters to everybody I knew, letting them know I had launched a business and these were the services that I offered and inviting them to come and receive coaching. So, that version of the business you wouldn't have imagined today's version when that was the starting point. Yeah. There have been, I would say, at least 7 known rebirths over the course of the 24 years, and probably lots of tiny ones too. Lots of pivots and improvements.
I think so too, especially as a founder. When you're starting off, it's like what you just said, you just made it exist. And then as you actually executed, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I like working with these kind of people, don't like it. And I think sometimes women forget that it's okay to try something and go, yeah, no.
For sure. Well, and nowadays, like now that AI is part of our conversation and hopefully part of everybody's, daily work, iteration is everything. Because if you're waiting to learn AI or have everything be perfect or have everything be organized or to understand it and be an expert in prompting or any of the stories that we're telling ourselves right now, you'll miss the boat and miss all the fun, truthfully. Like there's so much goodness that is coming out of, especially for founders and for busy entrepreneurs with what's going on with AI, that you just got to be willing to play with it and try and iterate.
And be okay with messing up or failing or not doing it right.
Yes. Yes.
That's so great. And I love how you talk about the human side of AI, because I think a lot of people are fearful of AI just totally taking all the humans out, replacing all our jobs. And I lean into AI and
Mhm.
I say, no, it's not going to replace my job, but somebody who knows AI better might.
Agreed. Where are you finding AI most helpful for you in your business right now?
So we use it a lot for automation, and then we use it a lot for summarizing, like taking transcripts from things. Okay, make sure I don't miss any of the to-dos. I use a tool called Little Bird,
Okay.
and it watches my screen. So very big brothery, scary, kind of creepy, but you can turn it off if there's like sensitive information you don't want it to watch. And I use that to kind of go back through my week. How productive was I this week? And one time it said, well, you switched between content multiple times this day and you wasted about this much time. And it's like, oh, you're right.
Busted.
Yeah. So now if I find myself wanting to switch to a different, you know, client maybe or a
Task or
different
something.
path, yeah, I go, ooh, Little Bird's going to see that. I better not. So, it's a silly game. I have to play with myself, but it works. And so,
This
what
we
about
we
you?
I use it all day, every day for all the things. I mean, we both are podcast hosts. It is a huge help in
Yes.
generating and doing all of the work around a podcast. So, helping you to generate ideas and create your angles and refine them.
Yeah.
It's great at taking the transcripts and turning them into like repurposing it into other content. It's great at turning, like, one of the things that we like to do is take the transcripts and turn them into little mini courses. If you use Notebook LM, you
Yep.
can have it, chop it up and turn it into a little video explainer for you that you can pop up on YouTube. And that's just in the podcast space, but it's I find it helpful for myself and for the founders that I coach with decision making and capturing those 3 a.m. thought hurricanes that happen when you run a business and wake up with whatever it is and turning that into clear communication for team members or to potential new verticals for your business. And you can pressure test those decisions using AI. I
Yeah.
mean, we use it in so many different applications and not just in marketing, like really to
Mhm.
help reduce the mental load for leaders.
Exactly. And that's what I love to tell people. I say that, the stuff we use AI for frees up our brain or our brains for the really powerful stuff that
Yeah.
only we can bring and the discernment that only a human can bring. I mean, I had a client one time send me his book launch plan, and
Okay.
I could tell it was 100% copy paste from ChatGPT. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it was so bad. I was like, no, we're not using
Like,
this.
nobody can't do it.
And how I'll have clients send me stuff like when journalists reach out and they're like, hey, is anyone on your roster able to answer this? If they send me something that's literally written in I can't send this. They'll get in
Yeah.
trouble if they use this. And so
Yeah.
we started
Yeah.
having our clients voice memo things, and then
Yes.
we'll transcribe it, clean it up, and send it off. But
Yes.
yeah, I love focusing on the human aspect of AI.
We need to be there. Like there are certain things that an algorithm is never going to be able to do. Like you said, the discernment, the nuance, the synthesis. Like what was I doing? I was reading something last night. And I was thinking about again, I work in entertainment predominantly, and it's going through just so many changes right now with the way that streaming works and the way that movies are made and the way that people are hired, and AI obviously is having an impact on it as well. And feeling like the story that we're telling about it is that everything is horrible, like it's crashing and burning. And I kept thinking, what a beautiful opportunity, though, for folks that are learning AI to be able to step into this space and to like redefine an entire industry that shapes our culture.
Yeah.
And that sort of jump from everything is crashing and burning, here are the stats, here's the search engine information that would tell you how things are, that leap into here's the next possibility is only one that a human brain is going to make.
Yeah. It's funny. It makes me think, I watched this show called Murdoch Mysteries.
Okay.
It's a light-hearted murder mystery type of thing, although there are
Love
a lot of
murder
murders
mysteries.
in little town. So
Yeah.
I probably moved, but it's set in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay.
And there was an episode recently that I watched where they created the television, and they were like, "Oh, it's never going to take off," and and like, "Oh, radio's always going to be." And it's just funny because I feel like that's where some people are right now. It's like you can't refuse that it's not going to take off. It's already taking off.
It's that, yeah, the train's left the station. And, I have absolute compassion for people that are overwhelmed by it, concerned about it from an environmental perspective,
Oh, yeah.
from a security perspective, ethics. Like I understand all of the concerns. All of that is true. And the goodness of it is also true. So a lot of my time spent in starting to work with founders who are just cracking the egg and getting into AI is thinking about, who do you want to be to this tool?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. It's just a
what's
tool.
right, wrong for you? What's, how do you want to use it? What's your line? So for instance, you have your folks that are on your roster that are like, oh my God, that was so much easier. I just popped my stuff into AI and gave it out. Okay, that's great. Now, do you want to be the person that lets AI basically be your voice box and sending your messaging and shaping everything? Or do you want to be the person who uses it to generate those ideas or to clarify so that then you can hone your message and be able to repeat it so that it's yours, not the tools?
Yeah, exactly. I tell people all the time, it's just a tool. It's not going to, well, I mean, it could take over the world, but
In terms of what we're able to do with it right now, we don't have a lot of sway over whether that happens or not.
But you're right. It's like we need to go ahead and lean into it and shape it the way we want, rather than just kind of letting it do its thing. But now we have the capability of shaping it the way we want. I saw this morning they were showing a humanoid robot and how it records everything it sees. And I was like, okay, I might have to push back on that one.
That's unsettling.
So
that's why you turn off certain settings on your phone so that it doesn't listen to everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just was giving me, I think it was called iRobot. What's that movie back in the day?
Yeah.
Long time ago. But so, some of that's starting to come true, it feels like. So I want to go back to where you were as a founder originally.
Yeah.
So the word founder, a lot of times people, they don't really know what that means. Like, okay, I started a company.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me the difference between like a founder and maybe like a solopreneur.
So to me, a solopreneur, generally, they can be the same person, by the way. I tend to think that solopreneurs have an identity that's almost more of a freelancer approach to the work that they're doing. So they still may be kind of performing like an employee, either an employee in their own company or an employee for others, because they're a contractor that gets hired to do work of whatever type. A founder is somebody who's decided this is a business and I'm trying to build it into having a team or having assets or something that is ultimately sellable or pass onable at some point. Like that to me is one of the distinctions. And then the third identity is the CEO identity. And you can be a solopreneur, a founder, and a CEO. You're a very busy person if you're doing all those things. But a CEO is the person who has gone past having a great idea that they've figured out how to make money with and focuses on what to do to run a business consistently, deliver results consistently, bring in leads and market and do their marketing and sell things consistently in a way that ultimately paints them out of the picture.
That's the key. Yeah. Ultimately paints them out of the picture. Yeah. And I know you work a lot on the bottleneck that most of the time we find ourselves in as we're trying to work ourselves out of the picture. Is there a particular bottleneck area that comes up most often?
I mean, communication is kind of at the top of the pile because it's only through communication that you can break the bottleneck in specific operational areas, like whether it's operations, finance, marketing, sales, whatever it is. If you don't have the ability to know what your standards are, what you'd like to have done, the instructions of how you'd like to do it, and be able to pass that on clearly to other people and then hold them accountable to getting it done, it doesn't really matter which area you tackle first if you don't have that skill set at the top of the bunch.
That I would say was probably the biggest hurdle for me as I was growing my team. We grew faster than I thought we were going to. And I probably could have controlled it a little bit more, but I think it was exciting to be
Yeah. Oh,
growing.
for sure.
So, but I wish I would have put together all those systems and all that communication prior to, so that way it was a lot less messy because it gets messy.
It does. Because, I mean, companies are made of people, even if they're AI people. Like, even if you have AI employees, you still have to tell them what to do and make sure that they're doing it right and following the instructions and delivering what you expected. And for anybody, like if I'm talking to somebody who just has the twinkle in their eye that they want to start something right now, start documenting your processes.
Yes.
For any of it, like day one. And AI is amazing at doing that. Amazing at helping you do that quickly. Like you said, you can do a voice memo and just say, okay, I'm just starting my company. I have decided that I am going to use LinkedIn as my main marketing platform. And I want to post 3 times a week. And I want the post to be about this. And they usually are going to include these 3 things. And here's the call to action. Great. Just the beginning of something, but that means that if you had help tomorrow, like say your kid wants to intern with you, right?
Yeah, there's the manual.
Yeah, and they've got the start of something, and then you can continue to iterate on it.
The recipe, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
I love that. And Little Bird is good for helping with SOPs because it records what you're doing.
Yes.
So you can have it record and it will see, go to Google Doc, then go here, because it's literally remembering
Following
everything
your
you did. Yeah. So I've instructed the team to use Little Bird. They don't have to keep it on their computers the whole time, but for particular tasks that they're trying to build an SOP for.
So smart.
So yeah, we're definitely leaning into AI as much as possible, and it is overwhelming. But once you get it, give it the guardrails and get it organized, it definitely makes life easier for sure. And we talked about the iterations that your company has seen. One thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about is the identity iterations. Mm-hmm. And so I'd love to go through that, like how you changed as a person from the beginning to now.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, again, there's the business on day 1 and year 24, and there's Dawn on day 1 and year 24. Yeah. I mean, so which part do you want to talk about first? The business identity change or the human identity change?
I think the human identity change. How did you change as a human?
So At the beginning, I was a bundle of nerves and unfounded confidence. I just decided I was going to start something. And so I did, with no real understanding of what I was getting myself into, truly. Like, I was just like, I want to coach people and I'm going to do that, and ready, set, go.
Nice.
And so there's something very exciting about being that version of oneself. And there's the flip side, the dark side of that moon, which was, what am I doing? I have incredible self-doubt. What if I never make another dollar again? What if? And most of it was really existential at the beginning. And then I'd say the middle identity version was in that solopreneur founder space, where I'd figured out how to become a salesperson. I'd figured out how
nice.
to market. I'd figured out the kinds of people that I was attracting and or I wanted to attract.
Yes.
And I started to be able to more clearly communicate that, so that there was just a little bit more consistency, both in who was coming, how much I was selling things for, how I was delivering my services. And so that unfounded confidence became founded confidence, because there was enough trial, error, and improvement that it all started to make sense. And so that was kind of, middle version of me. And
you bring up a great point when you say middle version. I want to highlight that for women who are like 6 months into their business going, oh my gosh, I don't have it all figured out. You said middle.
Yeah. And I mean, that's middle as of 24 years. And my hope is that I'm going to be going longer than that. So
yeah,
midpoint
exactly.
as of
My
today,
point is, it didn't happen in 6 months. It didn't happen in a year. Like,
oh my gosh, have patience.
Time if you're out there and you just started.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that was always in the back of my mind was that most small businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years. And there's a little bit, like, depending upon what kind of business it is that you're starting, there's a little bit of a caveat to that. Like, if you take out loans and have a product-based business and you can't get it to market and turn over sales within that period of time, you probably won't be able to maintain your cash flow to keep going with that business or that version of it. Your business will close. And with a service-based business, depending upon what it is that you do, if you can't be visible, if you can't get your brand positioning sorted and start attracting the right clients, you may have an unlimited cash runway. Like, maybe, you have a family that can support you or savings that can support you. But after 3 to 5 years, if you haven't been able to home that in and bring people to you and start transacting business, you'll burn out at a certain point. And honestly, the IRS is not a big fan of you either if you're marking a loss on your taxes for that long. So in those early stages of the business, it's easy to be impatient, because if that's what you're worried about, like, I'd like to replace my corporate salary or something like that. I understand wanting things to happen faster, but it's the sum of your days in aggregate, not how come I woke up today and tomorrow I don't have, 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like that, it's just not, the math doesn't match up. It's the things at the foundation that really make the difference over time.
I think what makes it hard for a lot of women is they see these ads on social media. It's like, I had $100,000 month after just 2 months of working. And, it's all these outlandish things. And I've worked with some of those because I was curious about, is this real? And so far, I'm like, it wasn't really fully real for them. So, I feel like sometimes the comparison game gets played against stuff that's not really real.
Well, it's incomplete information. So like I said, I work in entertainment, and there's the story of like the 10-year overnight success, right? So somebody who just pops out and then all of a sudden they're everywhere and they're, stars rising and famous and they're in all the projects, but they've been going for forever. They didn't just walk into that high profile project. And the folks that are making those $100,000 months, the clients that I have that are in that position that have those stories, like one woman in particular I'm thinking of, used to be the general counsel for a major fashion brand. So her corporate salary and what her skill set was and her relationships and her history and time in the business and what she was capable of were already intact before she converted over to starting a business. So
Yes.
she already had a lot of those skills in place and she just ported them over into her own situation. This girl, when she started on day one, had been a marketing professional in an entertainment company, never owned a business, but grew up in an entrepreneurial family. That was the extent of understanding what it was like to run a business. So I hadn't been day to day responsible for my own positioning,
Everything.
operations, marketing, sales, packaging, pricing, imagery, like all of that stuff, website, like all of that, all had to, come in its own time.
Yeah. 100%, man. And you made me think of the proximity thing. A lot of times people will compare themselves. We had a client one time who zero brand assets, like starting from the ground,
Yeah.
and continually was frustrated that like after 6 months they weren't worldwide famous. And I'm like, I kept trying to explain that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Sure, there are viral moments, but that's not the
Well,
norm.
and usually they're not the brand moments that you'd like your brand to be known for if you'd like to be worldwide famous overnight.
Right. And I like to say too, when it comes to virality, you better be ready for it. So you have to build the foundation for that.
To receive
And
that inflow.
exactly, because that's where we started when we went what would have been considered viral before viral was a term. The girls, we didn't have a brand for them. So that's why I jumped in and we built a brand. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you lose opportunity if you don't have it all in place before getting all that visibility. So I'm glad that you brought that point up. And you also made me think of something James Wedmore said in a recent podcast. He was talking about you have to make your way to each floor. You can't just skip from floor 1 to floor 7
Yeah.
because you collect something on every floor that you need for the next floors. He's like, what if you jumped to floor 5 and you needed the pen and paper on floor 2, but you jumped over it? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I can get that visual, and I can look back in each of my phases and go, oh yeah, okay, that's what I learned that now is serving me here. So,
Well, and
do you have any
I can
moments?
remember times when I jumped to floor 5 and I definitely got sent back to floor 1 to be reminded of why I needed to go to floor 2. Like
Tell me more
that
about
happened
that. I want
too.
to dive into
Yeah.
that.
So there was a time when my business went through a growth bump and I started having more TV appearances, which was fantastic. And I expected that things would like, oh, this is the big moment. This is the turning point. I can't tell you how many times in 24 years I've said to myself, this is the turning point. This is when it all changes forever.
Yeah.
And so I expected that I was going to write a book, that I was going to start like that phase of my career was going to be about appearing on TV, being a notable expert. It was like in the era of Dr. Phil showing up on TV. And I was thinking, okay, I'm in line. Like I literally was on an Oprah show. So I was like, here we go. Let's do it. Girl, I was not ready. I was not ready because you need to be able to, I had the opportunity to pitch reality TV shows starring me. What did I know about that? Like, it had never occurred to me to do that. And even being in entertainment and having mentors to turn to, I put packages together and I went out and shared them. Everything just fell flat because the rest of the scaffolding around me that would have supported that launch was not present yet. And to this day, I'm actually thankful that it all worked out that way and that I didn't end up on that path. But it was a very attractive path at the moment. And I really grabbed for it. But I just was not ready to receive that.
Yeah. That's a fantastic example. And I love how you're like turning it into a miss that was a powerful miss and a beneficial miss. So I love that you're looking at it from that rather than a man, I suck, I really failed. And, we beat ourselves up a lot. And instead it's like, no, we all do these things. We all experience the slips and we just got to learn from them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's to me, business is like yoga. It's a practice. And on any given day, you're more flexible, or some days you can't even bend over and touch your toes. And it doesn't matter that yesterday you were great at that. It doesn't matter that you could get into the tough pose the day before. The next day you come to it with a different body, a different set of circumstances, better sleep, whatever it is. And you just got to show up and, focus and do your best for that given day and keep going.
Yeah, I love that example because you're right. I mean, there are millions of circumstances that could go on. Like me saying my AC went out. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it does change how I'm going to show up a little bit because I'm going to be hot and sweaty.
Different clothes, hair up, making it happen.
Yeah. And I remember hopping on a call one time and the person had shingles in their eye.
Oh, mercy.
And I was like, okay, well, one, you didn't need to show up, but two, ow.
Ow.
And so, life
smokes.
just sometimes throws things at you and just roll with it.
Well, and that story has given me the gift of making me go get my shingles shot later today. So.
I know. I mean, I was like, wait, it can go there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't really that much older than I am either. So yeah, it was a little bit concerning.
I'll go do it if you go do it, Chrissy. We'll take care of business.
Oh my gosh. Craziness. Tell me about any super wacky situation you found yourself in. Like, okay, I never would have had this on my bingo card.
I mean, some of the clients that I've had the opportunity to work with, like incoming calls, like I have NDAs with people, so I'm not necessarily able to, share details, but let's just say that I've been able to work with people who are responsible for billion-dollar hits of the summer that involve the color pink. Like, didn't see that coming. And that, again, that's just showing up. Like, those are those moments that I think have people tell the story that, like, oh, that's a big deal overnight. That was, 20 plus years of building relationships, doing good work, showing up consistently, continually learning and growing both as a business owner and as a practitioner and an expert. So that, the call came in overnight, but the readiness for it and the work for it was fully there and ready to receive it. And was it wacky? It certainly was. I mean, it was amazing, but awesome. Could not have seen that coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how you talked about 20 something years of preparing to receive that call. And, I heard a lot of people talk about Hormozi's big book launch that he did.
Yes.
You could steal his strategy. And I was like, okay, yeah, you can steal his strategy, but not all the years of work that he has been spending building his brand and community.
Well, that's one of the big things that I talk about. I talk about on She's That Founder, but I also share with my business owners. We're all naturally looking out in the world for examples of like, what did this person do, that person do? I feel like we have kind of similar businesses. What was their path? Their path is, first of all, theirs uniquely. And a good 90% of it is invisible to us because it's only either what they've chosen to share with us, which usually is the good stuff. No shade, but just it usually is the good stuff, or what has been covered by other sources. And so we don't know the choices that were involved in every moment of that business when it was actually at the stage that you're at when you're making that comparison.
Yeah.
So if your business is a 6-figure business, like let's say you're at you've crossed the $100,000 threshold, amazing, huge milestone. But if you're looking at a business like Alex Hormozi's that is in the multi-millions, he's long ago past that $100,000 mark. there are things that are consistent in his process that add up to what he did. But there are so many moving parts and choices that don't make sense for your 6-figure business right now. And we end up making ourselves feel really bad that we're not doing it exactly the way Alex did it, when there's no way, first of all, that we ever could because we're not him, but also because it doesn't apply. Like what we're seeing on the outside is not relevant ultimately to our business in its current moment.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because it's like that whole what got you here won't get you there type of thing. And
For
so it's
sure.
like the opposite, what got someone there won't necessarily get you here either.
Yeah.
So it's like embracing your journey and realizing that it's okay to like not be that overnight success.
Yes. Well, and take whatever you can and learn and continue to grow and develop. So for instance, he's got his $100 million leads, $100 million sales. Like there's such great information in that book for any business owner, no matter what state of business that they're in. So it can help you to continue to improve as a marketer and as a salesperson, but don't misconstrue that information is going to put you where he is 20 minutes from now, you know?
Yeah, that you're literally going to have a $100 million offer. No, probably not.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's okay.
It is okay.
So do you primarily work with women?
I work with men and women. I work with high-level CEOs of large companies, and I also work with founders of companies between 500K and 5 million. So my main conversation is leadership, and my favorite client to work with is female leaders, because I want us to change the world. So the more, I don't know, wind I can put in our sails, the better.
I love that. Me too. I mean, that's one reason why I cater more toward women. We, like you, we work with men as well, but we do have a no jerks rule, so you can't
Yep.
be a jerk.
Yep.
But I guess, what is it that causes you to be so much of an advocate for women founders and CEOs?
I mean, I think
I mean, besides
honestly,
being a woman.
I was going to say, like, it starts with being one and just realizing the unique perspective that we bring to anything that we're a part of that has been missed for most of the development of society, truly. And so I feel passionate about women finding their power just because we have the right to, because we exist. Like it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Like an example, I went out to a concert with my husband last night, and we were all, standing there in the crowd, watching the show, having the best time. And there was a young woman and her boyfriend that were standing next to us, and he left to go to the restroom or drink or whatever. And she was by herself and surrounded by a bunch of other men, like us and a bunch of other men. And and she was totally fine, by the way. I just want to say that straight away. But having been through the life that I've been through, I had this moment of she's having the best time watching this show, and she has every right to be able to do that without anyone needing to say something to her, without anyone needing to manage her, without anyone getting in her way. She should be able to feel safe and enjoy her experience. And to me, that is why I get fired up about women in business taking space, because we create economies, we create jobs and lifestyles for families, we create more compassion and understanding for what it's like to be a mother and in motherhood, in work. We create conversations that are more compassionate inside the workplace and remind people that it's not, that businesses are made of human beings, not just of cogs in the wheel that need to get something done to make a profit. And all of that leads to a more, I think, equal and humane society. So that's my diatribe, Chrissy. I didn't even know that was coming out of me, but there you go.
I like to think of it as makes a more breathable world.
Yeah.
Not everybody's having to hold their breath.
Yes, for
I
sure.
love that. And very similar to you. My belief statement is I believe women should confidently pursue or should embrace their worth and confidently pursue the success they desire.
Yes.
And, that's one reason why I've created a very family centered company and culture. Your kid has an event. Okay, go see your kid's event. You'll get your work done. You're an adult.
Yeah.
So, I've always had to work from home for the most part because of Sienna having special needs. And so I saw that it could work, and I've been doing it for 20 something years, working from home and
Yeah.
making it work around life. I'm like, I know it's completely possible because I've been doing it for so long. Um,
Yes.
so I love that was a good result of COVID, was that everybody got used to being a little more flexible.
Yes.
But I guess what is a similarity you see in the women who are at that $500,000 mark and the ones who are at the Hermosi level? Is there a through line there?
Yeah. I think, they say that problems are the same. There's just more zeros on the end, and I do think that that's true in that someone at a $500,000 mark is looking for a next level of growth and a way to package their business so that it can scale. So they're starting to pull out of being in everything. They're building team. They're building deeper systems. They're looking at consistent ways to generate leads. And any business at any time is trying to do that. But at the 500K level, you're looking to do that at scale. If you're at the $100 million level, you're looking at being able to do that with, I like to think of it like, my kids are into video games, and sometimes part of it is that your character will climb into a mech, is what it's called. It's like
Okay.
that metal exoskeleton robot that the
Okay.
hero is inside. So you're looking to do that with multiple extensions of arms. So you're the nucleus at the center, and you need to be really skilled at having your people and having your systems do all of this work to operate at 100 million. So it's slightly different thinking to be able to solve problems at that 500 versus 100 million level. But the challenges that the founder faces are still really similar. I just see people at the $100 million mark bouncing back a lot faster.
I think that's a great example. I don't remember which book it was, but they were talking about if, oh my gosh, he's on Shark Tank, but if, let's say, any of the Shark Tank people, if they lost everything tomorrow, they would build it back.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think it's pretty common that Barbara Corcoran has filed bankruptcy like 4 times. Clearly she's fine.
Yes. It's worked out okay.
That resiliency factor. And I think that's something maybe important to touch on too, is a lot of women, they see that and maybe they're in that situation and feeling like a failure. What would you say to them?
I'd say feel it until it passes over you like rain clouds going over a mountain. Like, it's okay to feel it, but don't identify it. So there's that book, The Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've ever read it before, but instead of saying I'm sad and making that your identity, it's like I have sadness. So being able to separate the emotions and not claiming it as part of your identity is how these folks at this level bounce back faster, because they're not making it about them. They're still turning to the business as a set of problems to solve and looking at, okay, what resources can I bring to it? What thinking can I bring to it? Who can I ask? What examples do I have? Like, they just feel whatever they need to feel, and then they get back up and start solving for the next challenge again. And that is the biggest difference I see between people who have just started a business and 6 figures, actually, is that if you've just started a business and you're not yet at 6 figures, one of the biggest things I think holding you back is your mindset. Because unless you have a product or a service offering that just is not aligned in any way with the market, you can always get to 6 figures. You can sell that much of something, whatever it is. but only if you you've got it all cleaned up and you've got your mind right to be able to do it.
100%. I mean, that's my daily practice. And I tell people sometimes it's a minute by minute practice even, but,
Yeah.
but
Amen.
it's my biggest focus. I mean, I've got stuff all over the place that reminds me, and I keep things available for me to read. And I've
Yes.
got, I meet with my coaches who also remind me,
Yeah, I
and
got
things.
my little angel cards right here that I pull every day. Yeah.
So it's like it is, and I would say that's something I also see from my side of things for people at that level is they give themselves all these tools for the mindset type of
Yes.
thing. Is there a like this is the best piece of advice I ever got type of thing?
Mm. So one of the things that I ask on my podcast when I have guests is if they had a sparkly billboard in Times Square and they could leave a message for women, what would they say? I have gotten so many good pieces of advice from that. And the one that's popping to mind at the moment, so I'll just share it, is there's always a ticket. And what that means.
Interesting.
So I interviewed Carrie Bialik is the president of Spartina, which is Stephen Colbert's production company. She was a client and a friend. And I interviewed her on the podcast. And her advice that she wanted to leave on a billboard is there's always a ticket. And to me, what she was saying with that is that there's always a way. Like whatever it is, whatever you're stuck with. So in her world, in entertainment, people want to get into the premiere, they want to get into the party, they want to, go to the event, whatever it is. Oh, there are no more tickets. There are no more tickets. She's like, there's always a ticket. There's always a ticket.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, okay. So that to me, like my takeaway from that is, first of all, a lot of things I'd like to go do that they tell me there's no tickets. I'm going to figure that out. But secondly, when it comes to business, the way that you have been pushing on and striving for and think is the only way to get it done, there's always a ticket. There's always a way that once you stop pushing, striving, fighting for, trying to make something happen the way you think it should happen, if you're able to breathe and let go of that, you'll find another way that might even be more elegant, more profitable, more in alignment with who you are, easier,
100%.
just a better fit.
That was a big transformation that or a realization rather that I came to. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am completely fighting my human design and my
Your
nature
nature.
and not working with how I was designed. And I was like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
So
Did it get easier? Are you having more fun? Did you
we
find
are in the process.
yeah, love it.
But I'm definitely in that painful part where things are shifting.
Yeah.
And but I know like it's just part. It's not the result. It's not the end. It's not the fight. It's just the part that pretty much every business goes through. I'm in my 5th year now. And so it's like, okay, I've got the team going. And one thing I love to say to younger or newer entrepreneurs, I had that solopreneur freelancer mindset for years. And I thought that getting to that $8,333 a month was impossible. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to do it. And then I love to tell this story, even though it was really painful, but I got hired in with one of my clients at the time. They said, we want you to come in and run our marketing division. It was an agency. And I was like, you know what? Not chasing invoices and not sales.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of nice. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And so I did that, closed my book of business. They laid me off twice within 2 years.
Yep.
And I literally said, nope. I saw the way that was run. I am perfectly capable of not being a solopreneur. And that 8,333, nothing. That is
Yep. Be
nothing.
like, got it.
Yep. And, so I'm very thankful that that happened because obviously that was what, that was the kick in the butt I needed to go, it's on now.
That's the person, that's my, how Beyonce had Sasha Fierce for a while. She had like her alter ego. That's my alter ego, Mrs. Betterway. When she shows up,
It's
things are
amazing.
going to get done because she sees, like you saw in that moment, if this group can get it done and get to 8333, I got it all day. That's Mrs. Betterway. She knows that there is a better way to get it done. So I'm glad she visited you.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to find my own version. I named my saboteur. So I've got that one. I'm so grateful that we've served coaches because I've gotten so many
Yeah.
tools over the years.
Oh, I
Um,
bet.
and so Gestalt is one of the things that I've learned to even do with myself and my saboteur. She sits right over there. Her name's Greta.
Yep.
Um,
Greta, what's up, Greta?
yeah. And, you were talking earlier about the human side of things and the companies are run by humans. And,
Yeah.
It's fun when, like, with one particular client, we've discussed each other's saboteurs and we've given permission for the other one to say, hey, I think Greta might be coming out here, or,
Yeah, it
something that
becomes a
calls
common
out.
language and you just have a conversation about it instead of turning it into like a whole heavy identity cloak that weighs you down.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but it all boils back to mindset, and it all boils back to, working with what works for you and not necessarily somebody else. I love that you have on, I think it's your podcast website, about not needing to have that power suit
Yes.
be powerful. And I think, I know I've personally dealt with, okay, do I need to be more masculine? Do I need to be aggressive? And it's like, well, no, that's not really me either. I'm kind of a balance. And so I think a
Yeah.
lot of women do think they have to be either one way or the other.
I think I get trying those identities on because sometimes it's like we find a corner of ourselves that has been unexpressed because we leaned into being more masculine or being more aggressive or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, that's not me and I'm not going to sustain that. But I did find an edge to myself that is actually something I want to claim, like that's useful. So I think it's always great to try that stuff on. But at year 24 in my identity as a business owner, I think that my genuine power and the engine for the future growth of this business comes from me being wholly, completely, authentically myself in any given day and moment. And the more I step into that fully, the conversations will flow out that I'm like, I can't believe I just said that to the
Yeah.
face of that person. I can't believe that I just created that. I can't, and not in a disbelief, oh my God, I feel ashamed of it, but in a get it kind of way,
I love that. That's fantastic. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you're like, I really wanted to make sure I shared today?
I think I'm going back to AI one more time because it has been such a revolutionary tool in my business, and especially for folks that are feeling it challenging to find whatever they want to call their voice. Being able to continue using that tool to hone their messaging, to test things out, to see if it lands. Like, I think that women really hide sometimes trying to make things pretty polished and perfect before they speak up, or that they feel like, well, I have to have something really good to talk about, really good, like I have to have a fancy vacation so that I can show up on Instagram, or I have to have a big win in my business so that I can show up on LinkedIn, or I feel like we don't find the value in our own expression. And AI is a really good practice tool to start like pulling that out of us. And I want people to be able to share more because the more you share, the more business comes your way, the more relationships come your way, and the more people we employ and the better things get.
Yeah, 100%. And I was actually just doing that with Claude yesterday, trying to, like, analyze and find patterns in these clients were great. This client was challenged. This campaign was good. Just compared
Yeah.
to like what works for me and who I want to attract and things like that. So yeah, I love that you're saying that. And for women to not wait for perfection.
Yeah. Just
For
start
me,
being sloppy.
yeah, not AI
Just
sloppy, but no.
not AI sloppy, but like just run a little faster. Like I have a sign on my wall that says fail up every single day.
I love that. I love
And
that.
I want us to do that just a little bit more.
Yeah, I always, my thing that I'm striving for, because I do get stuck in perfectionism myself. So
Mm.
I strive for elegance, not perfection. And
Mm.
that works for me. And it allows me to go, okay, is this elegant? Yes. Is it perfect? Don't know. Let's go.
Next. Yep.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on, Dawn. Where can people reach out to you and listen to your podcast and all that?
Yeah. So the podcast is called She's That Founder, and you can find it in all the podcast places. Apple is our number one spot. You can find me at dawnandrews.com, which is our main website. And then if you really want to connect and get into it, you can find me at Free Range Thinking on LinkedIn and in our AI for Founders community.
Amazing. Oh, I like that. I'm going to have to find that community because, yeah, I'm all in it. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Chrissy. It was great conversation. Really fun talking to you.